when we make a top view sketch, we have to be very careful about how we sketch the wheels. For example, in this sketch, as you can see, we have this top view, we have our center line, and we have our wheels. Now, the most common mistakes that people do at the beginning of their learning process about the top view sketch is that, first of all, sometimes in these areas, the direction is not going to the vanishing point, which is down there somewhere, but people have tendency to open up, the front and the back, and therefore it looks really strange. The second most common mistake is the way they draw the wheels. Many times, the minor axe of the wheel is not going to the vanishing point. Some people make the mistake of putting the minor axis in horizontally, so this means that we are going to have a sort of an oval tire, but they don't see it. Or their ellipse degree, here we have almost 25-30 degrees ellipse. It's going to be a very big ellipse, almost like a side view, which means 80 degrees or 90 degrees, almost a circle. And that's another mistake, because everything depends how we tilt the plane to make that top view. Okay? So if this is my side view, when I start tilting and I go into a top view, you can see that this line, it's already going that way. It's not straight, it's that way, because perspective. There is 1 point perspective in this area very far. And this one also, as you can see, is doing the same thing. It's not straight, it's going toward that same vanishing point. Now, let's analyze what's happening to the wheels. You can see that here we have circles, and now they are ellipses. Now, this is going to be probably a 75, 80 degrees ellipse. But if I do even more, like that, you can see that the ellipse becomes really a small degree. And the minor arc that is there, it's going to the same vanishing points, following, following that line. Look at that line here. Look at this line here. And look at this line here. They're all going to the vanishing points. So when I go back to the sketch, you can see that this line here, it's following the same rule. So when I make a real quick sketch, now we have to put the wheels. One, it's going to be here. That's the axe of the wheel. And the other one, it's going to be around here. So as you can see, I'm putting the axe following. Okay, a simple way to make that tire in the correct way, it's I draw a box. In reality, it's going to be a square, okay? So I draw my square. Now, my square has to follow the perspective. You can see that this line is going that way, and this one is going that way, because this is one vanishing point, it's here, but down here we have another one, and then those lines go parallel, okay, which means that the vanishing points here and the vanishing points here, left and right, okay, this is top, this is down, those ones are infinite, so they don't converge, they are parallel. Those are the ones that converge, okay? So let me first fix a little bit this line, like that, this one also, so it looks a little bit better. So now let's make the square, and inside the square we're gonna draw the circle that, being in perspective, the square, the circle in reality, it's going to be the right ellipse. So this would be the first one. Now I draw a line here because the wheels are on the same plane. As you can see, I'm making this kind of parallel like those ones, okay? The other square here. So this line is following here, like this one is following here. This one is following here. It's going down there where we have this vanishing point, very far down, very far down. So here we have the other one. This is in perspective, and the wheels has a thickness, you see, has a thickness. So if this surface is one square, we have another square for the back surface for the thickness. You understand that? I show you. You see? Now that we have this, we know what's going to happen here and how thick it's going to be our tire. This is the thickness. Thanks to this, we can also determine better the shadow onto the ground. Let's divide this in 4 equal parts, because we know that when we put a circle inside a square, those are the point where the circle will touch. So what I sketched now, it's the wheel, but this is an ellipse. And then we can sketch the same ellipse on this back surface. I take a marker, I show you the shadow. But there is one thing very important that we have to learn about the shadow. We have this ellipse. This is our tire. Now on top, I will make a little bit bigger ellipse because it's my wheel well. That's the wheel well is the space between the tire and the side fender where the suspension is, and the tire can go up and down. If you don't put that space, the tire, it's blocked. Okay, I'm using this template just to show you where it's indicated the minor axis of an ellipse. You see this one, my ellipse here, we can see that the minor axis is there. And if I do it here, more or less, it's there. This is a simple way to make sure that you don't make a big mistake on your wheels and a big mistake when you try to make your top view, okay? Now there is another thing very important about the shadow. Look at this line I put. You see, when you put the shadow, the cast shadow, you are putting the shadow of the whole side body, the body of the car, onto the ground. So you have to be very careful that when you put the shadow here, where I'm putting my black, you see, making a little correction, this part and this part, front fender, back fender, especially in this area and in this area before they turn, they are at the same level of the side, and therefore our side view cast shadow on the ground will be at the same level in the beginning of the back before it starts turning, you see? And here too, before it starts turning. A lot of people do this part down here, this up, and this part down. That's a mistake. That's the last thing I want to show you to make sure that you don't make that mistake again. I hope that this demo was useful to you. All right? Thank you very much. Ciao. Take care. Subscribe, put your like because it's gonna help a lot this channel. Thank you.